Richard, great to have you with us today. So you've described the space economy as moving from speculative story to institutional investment opportunity. What do you think is driving that shift, and what are serious investors paying attention to right now?
Yeah, great question. I think when you look at from 2020 to 2021, the SPACs, it created an opportunity for institutional investors to come in. As we see some of the challenges between 22 all the way to 25, I think this is a great market space to be in right now. We've had SpaceX go public. Where I see the great value is that it is an institutional asset to be backed. And so some of the questions I ask investors is like, what is your exposure in space and what is it? But there's an incredible amount of interest from the U.S. side. We see it across different regions in the world, and sitting here even in Abu Dhabi, I think is an exciting time.
Great, excellent. And many investors still think about space in terms of rockets and launches. What are they missing with the space economy and the opportunity it presents?
I think sometimes when we create like a sci-fi version of space, it becomes very challenging. The industry is like any other industry. You have the infrastructure play that's a necessity. And as you build on top of that, those building blocks, you're going to have everything from like a SaaS-based model system that is crucial to space and different data and AI, things of that nature. But to get there, 0 to 1 is getting to space, and 1 to 20, which I like to describe as we as a species have to be able to stay in space. So when you look at commercial space stations, things like that, very intriguing. And then the other aspects of communication and the necessities for nationalistic interest, defense, weather, and then even data centers that are coming into space. So I think it's, yeah.
And one theme that seems to run through many of your investment infrastructure is infrastructure. What draws you to those opportunities, or what specific infrastructure are you most focused on, if any?
So we've invested in 2 launch companies. We've invested in 2 commercial space stations. Our next step forward, even as we consider allocations through a fund, is going to be critical energy sectors, communication sectors. The fund will also focus on a percentage of defense. We see a big push in the United States government in terms of the Golden Dome and things related to that. And in terms of what I think is going to be our agenda is building those building blocks that are very crucial right now. And currently, it's a little bit segmented in the sector. So nationalistic interest is important to push that. Now we're seeing Wall Street and institutionals come in, which is also critical for this. And I'm very excited to see when the retail market catches up too, because space is here to stay. It's part of our future. This isn't like the Apollos in 1969 and 1972, where we built because we were trying to, compete against the Russians. And once we won, it was that. This is a long-term play. And I think that the next 10, 20 years is going to be very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. And so as capital becomes more global, what role do you see Abu Dhabi and the region playing in this sort of next generation of innovative investing?
So first time I came to Abu Dhabi was last year during December, the Abu Dhabi Finance Week. And there was a couple of speakers in terms that were correlating certain information about the space economy. I was able to this year meet some of the representatives from the UAE Space Agency at the Space Symposium in Colorado. And in conversations, the question really being is, outside of the capital allocation sector, right, investments into the space sector from, the big guys, the ADIAs, the Mubadalas, and the sovereign wealth funds. I think that what's necessary for the region or exciting would be to consider some things in the launch. Like once you have a launch capabilities, then you have 2 other separated sectors, the manufacturing side and the service side. So I think Abu Dhabi has a very interesting role to play. So we have the American side of the Canadians, the Europeans, the Japanese, and this region, of course, is the UAE interest in it. And one of the things I particularly like about this region is a long-term view. It's not your next 3 to 5 years, let's just get in and get out, but it's the next 50 to 100 years. So I'm very impressed by the approach. And I think that's the mindset that's needed. Space in and of itself is, in my opinion, if you're building those cornerstone and the infrastructure play, you're going to have to think the next 10, 20 years, when is a human going to be born? Is that going to be related to just U.S. Technology, U.S. individuals, or is the region going to be supportive in that end? And I do believe that it is. And it's not only from the UAE, but also the GCC. So I think it's a great time.
Yeah, excellent. And last question I want to wrap up with is, if you were allocating $1 billion today, which future technology theme would receive the largest capital and why?
Um, I definitely think data centers in space is something that we've all been communicating a lot about. I think from a practical perspective, a lot of money has already been allocated on Earth in terms of that. We see great companies like Starcloud who are doing it. They launched their first module last year in November, and now SpaceX is in the fight too in terms of trying to launch 1 million. So where I look at that, I'm trying to look at it as a private equity model too, from the top to the bottom to the nuts and bolts, what's really going to be needed. So energy is a critical sector of that. In that domain, communications too. And then the other aspects is like when you look at commercial space stations, I think of biotech, of microgravity pharmaceutical development. And I predict in the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to have a major player come in with an assumption, of course, that some of the companies that are now we've invested, Axe in Space, Dow Space, are successful in launching their modules.
Excellent. Well, it's been a pleasure having you, and yeah, I hope you come back again and tell us more about space and all the exciting opportunities.
Thank you.
Thank you.